This is a regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee. It's August 21st, 2018. Stand and join me in the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item will be approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of the board that was held on July the 17th, 2018. I think you've received a memo about that. Is there any discussion about that?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, vote by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. The next item will be a series of public hearings. We invite you, if you want to speak to one of these items, that you come to the microphone, that you speak, that you give us your name, give us your address. We also ask that you limit your comments to 2 minutes or less. The first item will be concerning ordinance 18-17, an ordinance to implement a local rate adjustment for the Springfield Electric Department. Does anyone wish to speak to that? If not, I'll declare that public hearing closed. The next public hearing concerns ordinance 18-18, an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2019 annual budget for the city of Springfield by amending certain general fund and utility operating fund budgets. Anyone wish to speak to that? I'll declare that public hearing closed. The next public hearing concerns ordinance 18-19, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 11-03 and replacing it with new regulations, rules and regulations for stormwater management. Does anyone wish to speak to that? I'll declare that public hearing closed. The next public hearing concerns ordinance 18-20, an ordinance rezoning one lot, a total of 1.9 acres, tax map 102, parcel 140, zone AG2 agriculture, located at 2957 Old Highway 431 in the 9th Civil District, in the contiguous right-of-way of William A. Batson Parkway to MRO, multiple residential and office. Does anyone wish to speak to that? I'll declare that public hearing closed. The next one concerns resolution 18-24, a resolution annexing 1.9 acres of property located at 2957 Old Highway 431, tax map 102, parcel 140, estate of Mary Kathleen Eden, and the continuous right-of-way of William A. Batson Parkway. Does anyone wish to speak to that? Yes, sir. Anyone wish to speak to that? I'll declare that closed. Next public hearing, recommendations from the traffic committee to post no parking signs on the west side of Walnut Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. Anyone wish to speak to that? Yes, sir. Sir, could you come to the microphone, please? Thank you.
I'm Harold White, 214 Walnut Street. My question is this: if you put no parking signs on the west side of Walnut Street, are they going to move to the east side? It won't make the street a bit wider. And it's nothing but a safety hazard of where they're parked. When we left a few minutes ago, there was 5 parked in front of 2 houses, the absentee landlords. And my question is this: if they've got dead vehicles on the property, why can't they move them out and use their driveways for parking? One driveway never has anybody in it, and yet they park in front of the house, 2 and 3 vehicles at a time. And I would like to know if that means they're going to park on the east side. That's my side. And we own the property in front of where they're gonna park. And why can't something be done about the dead vehicles they got parked? That's all I have right now.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Watt. Okay, that's the last of our public hearings. We'll move on to the legislative section. First item is 2.1, discuss and possibly take actions on ordinance 18-15 on third reading. An ordinance amending Title 20 of the Springfield Municipal Code by amending Chapter 2 entitled Temporary Food Vendor Regulations by rescinding Section 20-201 entitled Temporary Food Vendors Not Allowed to Operate at a Fixed or Permanent Location, and Section 20-202 entitled Permit Fees and Exemptions in their entirety, and substituting new sections 20-201 through 20-206. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second. Any discussion? If not, we'll call the roll.
Harris.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Gregg. Head.
Yes.
Pass 6-0.
Next item, 2.2, discuss and possibly take action on ordinance 18-16 on third reading. An ordinance amending Title 16 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Streets, Sidewalks, etc. by rescinding Chapter 6 entitled Parades and substituting a new Chapter 6 entitled Parades and Special Events with Section 16-601 through 16-611. Is there a motion for this?
So move for approval.
Second. Any discussion? If no discussion, we'll call the roll.
Harris.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
Next item, 2.3, discuss and possibly take action on ordinance 18-17 on second reading. An ordinance to implement a local rate adjustment for the Springfield Electric Department. Have a motion?
So move. Second.
Any discussion on this? We'll call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg. Pass 6-0.
Next item is 2.4. Discuss and possibly take action on ordinance 18-18 on second reading. An ordinance amending the fiscal year 2019 annual budget for the city of Springfield by amending certain general fund and utility operating fund budgets.
So move.
Second. City Manager.
Yes, there have been some changes. This is second reading, so you all can amend this ordinance up till the third reading. And as we're closing out, this is to basically for the encumbrances for the different departments from last year's budget. And so we're trying, the ones that are highlighted are the changes from the first reading. So if you look at amended Exhibit A, everything that is highlighted is different from last month's reading. And again, it's the end of the fiscal year, trying to get everything closed out, and it generally takes July and August to get all of that done, and that's why as this stuff is getting, as these invoices are coming through and we're paying them, that's why we're having to do this. So we need the amendment.
Okay. Is there a motion to amend?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the amendments?
But all this money is in the budget,
Yes.
correct?
This is putting it into the budget.
Okay.
Any other questions? We'll vote on the amendment.
Trotter.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Pass 6-0.
Okay. We'll vote on the budget as amended.
Head.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Gregg. Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
Next item, 2.5, discuss and possibly take action on ordinance 18-19 on second reading. An ordinance rescinding ordinance 11-03 and replacing it with new rules and regulations for stormwater management.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the roll.
Sneed. Harris.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Gregg. Head.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
2.6, discuss and possibly take action on ordinance 18-20 on second reading. An ordinance rezoning one lot, a total of 1.9 acres. Tax map 102, parcel 140, zone AG2 agriculture, located at 2957 Old Highway 431 in the 9th Civil District in the continuous right-of-way of William A. Batson Parkway to MRO, multiple residential and office.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the roll.
Harris.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Sneed. Gregg. Head.
Yes.
Pass 6-0.
Item 2.7, discuss and possibly take action on ordinance 18-21 on first reading. An ordinance rezoning one lot, a total of 1.7 acres, tax map 41, parcel 86, located at 2624 South Main Street in the 9th Civil District from R40 Residential 40 to MRO Multiple Residential and Office. And we'll ask you to read that into the record, please.
Ordinance 18-21, an ordinance rezoning one lot, a total of 1.7 acres, tax map 91, parcel 86, located at 2624 South Main Street in the 9th Civil District from R40 Residential 40 to MRO Multiple Residential and Office. Whereas Justin Tarr has requested 1.7 acres, a total of one lot, owned by Lonnie Geasley at 2624 South Main Street, be rezoned from R40 Residential 40 to MRO Multiple Residential and Office. And whereas the Springfield Planning Commission has reviewed the request and voted with a favorable recommendation for this property to be rezoned. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, one lot totaling 1.7 acres owned by Lonnie Geasley at 2624 South Main Street, tax map 91, parcel 86 of the tax maps of Robertson County, Tennessee, are being more fully described by Exhibit A attached, are hereby rezoned from R40 Residential 40 to MRO Multiple Residential and Office. This rezoning shall become effective in its third and final passage as required by law.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion?
Ask Mr. Brewer to come up, please. You explain, please, exactly what they're going to do here, what they're wanting to do?
What they're wanting to do is that there's 1.7 acres of property here, over 79,000 square feet. If they zone it to MRO, they will be capable of putting up to 24 condominiums or apartments on it, but they're talking about condominiums. At the present time, the sewer availability will only allow them to do 14. In the future, after the construction of our new sanitary wastewater holding tank, they will be able to get the other 10. And so they would, but their plan is to do condominiums on this lot.
What kind of square footage condominium?
Well, if okay, the lot can only be covered by 40% by buildings. So that comes down to roughly 29,000 square feet. If you divide that by 24, there could be at 12,000 and some change per unit. Now, keep in mind that square footage of a housing unit is not the footprint. So in this case, they could do 1,200 square foot footprints and do 2-story townhouses and have 2,400 square foot condominiums.
All that on an acre?
Acre 0.7, yes, sir.
Where is it located in conjunction with the Helen Cotton plant out there?
Well, it's located right across from the entrance of Martin Luther King Jr. Park.
That's what I thought. But your house sits on that right now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
White
White House.
White old-style farmhouse,
So it's
yes.
right behind the Ford?
Yes,
Ford
sir.
Motors.
Yes, sir. And the MRO is in conjunction, we've kept a buffer along Main Street purposely so that there wouldn't be any entrances from the businesses onto Main Street. This is in conjunction with a residential zoning, so it's a viable zoning. We're getting a lot of interest in condominiums in Springfield. People looking at lots, wanting to do, as high density a development as they can to make it pay for what they want to do. It would be difficult for this gentleman not to do, pretty well and have pretty nice units there.
One other problem, coming up the hill, would that be a traffic problem?
Well, at the present time, probably not.
Okay.
You look at the average daily traffic counts, and, with 48 cars total, if it was 24 lots, you're going to see 48 leave in the morning, 48 come back in the evening, and an assorted number during the day. So it's not the traffic count's probably not going to be much over 70 or 75 during the day. So, you see more traffic going into Martin Luther King Jr. Park.
Okay.
So in your opinion, then, they would probably condo something like what's on 22nd and Mockingbird, that, you talking about that type of structure? The side one's next to the Holiday House, something similar to that?
No, those are single units. They're talking about doing some single level units and some two-story units. They do have an intention of having a certain percentage of it single-story units, because they know that there is a desire for more senior citizens within our city limits to purchase single-level housing units. So they're building to that market.
The townhouse units would be something similar to what Mr. Moore has on Ruth Street.
Something similar, yes, sir.
In the present zoning that it is now, what does that limit them? What could go there now, the way it's zoned?
He could get one house because it's R40, and so he'd have to have 80,000 square feet to get two houses on it, and he can't, it's 79,000 square feet, so he couldn't even get two lots to build two houses on.
Anything else?
That's going to really, all this good park money, that's really going to be a treat living across the street from it. Right, Director?
It came before the planning commission, and I saw a concept.
Okay.
Artists, what they're wanting to do, and you go in the entrance, and there's like an oval, some kind of greenway or something in the middle, and there's a circle road, and they'll be horseshoed, and all of them look 2 or 3 story. I don't think, maybe 2 story?
Two stories or 1 story.
It enhanced the park, and the park would enhance it. That's what I was.
Yeah, I think the way it laid out, most everybody could have a front view right out to the park. I think that's what you're trying to do right there. The way it's designed is most everybody will be able to look out the window and see the park.
Well, their original concept is that. We'll just have to see what they submit. And then, of course, that would go to the planning commission because it will be a condominium subdivision.
But that number's depending on the retention ponds and things like that. That's the question I raise, is the density is where you're going to do with all this water. But I said they'll get that worked out.
You said with the current sewer situation, they can only do how many?
14 at the present time. And that has been cleared through the Water and Wastewater Department.
What's the anticipation of being able to complete it as far as the sewers are concerned?
Well, here, we've recently, the wastewater department has recently led a project that will build the larger storage tank on the piece of property that we have on Carrs Creek, which will be coming to you guys at the September meeting for annexation. But we're going to build a 4 million gallon tank that will hold sanitary sewer in a large rain event. We'll pump into that so it doesn't overflow our wastewater treatment facility, and that will be released over time. When we do that, when we have that storage, then there will be more available sewer for that area. Am I speaking correctly, Mr. Beers?
Correct. Anything else? If not, we'll call the roll.
Harris.
Yes.
Gregg. Sneed. Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
Next item, 2.8. Discuss and possibly take action on Resolution 18-24 on second reading. Resolution annexing 1.9 acres of property located at 2957 Old Highway 431, tax map 102, parcel 140, the state of Mary Kathleen Eden, in the continuous right-of-way of William A. Batson Parkway.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg. Pass 6-0.
2.9, discuss and possibly take action on Resolution 18-25, a resolution authorizing the appropriation of funds for the fiscal year 2019 annual budget for the financial aid of nonprofit, charitable, and nonprofit civic organizations in accordance with Section 6-54-111 Tennessee Code annotated.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor, could we take these individually?
Yes, sir.
Read the amount, please, as you go through them for the
Okay.
public to hear.
Okay, do we need a motion for each one of these, if we're taking them individually?
Yes, sir, we do, but they're already in the budget.
Okay.
They're all line items. They're all line items in the budget.
Okay, so they've already been budget's been approved.
The budget, yes, the budget's been approved. This is a matter of formality, and I don't think it's necessary to take them individually.
Okay.
Well,
If you've
to-
got,
to
if
the
you've got an
council.
item you want to remove, you'd have to amend this
Well,
item. Is that right?
I just thought for the public view, and they don't see these amounts and who it goes to, we're just doing
Okay.
something kind of anonymous.
All right, then I'll read them individually. Will that work for you?
Well, okay, that's fine.
Okay. The items we're discussing: Robertson County Chamber of Commerce, $20,000. Robertson County Historical Society, $15,000. Robertson County Family YMCA, $14,000. Robertson County Senior Center, $10,000. United Ministries, $6,000. Transit Alliance of Middle Tennessee, $1,500.
Mayor, I'd like to make an amendment.
Okay.
Vote on the Robeson County Chamber of Commerce, 20,000. That's the most amount of money. Is the first one. I'd like to take it separate.
Okay. I don't think we can take it separate because it's in the budget.
It's in the budget.
Well, it's in the budget, but this is still something we have to do. It's just a motion. I mean, it's, you can second and vote on it, or don't get a second. It's just my motion to amend the way we're doing it.
This is just a formality as far as we can't, as appropriating what's already been authorized.
True.
And so all it says is that once all of the documents are received, then we can disperse the funds. So
Well,
it had,
Well, Ms. Head, the reason was, I had to sue the Chamber of Commerce to see what they're doing with the funds. I was unsuccessful in getting that stripped from the budget. I don't want to vote against the whole wad, but I would like to vote against the one that I had to sue to see what they're doing with the funds. That doesn't bother the rest of the members on this board, but it bothers me.
Mr. Mayor, Acting Mayor, this should have came during budget discussion.
I didn't get a second.
Well, we voted on it, understand you were outvoted, you voted no against the whole total
I
budget.
didn't vote no.
Well, you voted no.
I didn't get a second to do that. It didn't get voted on.
The majority of us approved it, and so that's why it's like it is.
Yeah, but if I vote no on this authorization, then I'm voting no on other groups that I would like to be okay with.
All right, okay, this has been voted for, passed in our budget.
Exactly.
This particular item would authorize the funding of these, is that?
Yeah, so if I vote yes, I'm authorizing funding to an
So if you want
organization
to
I had to
withhold
sue.
funding, for some reason, you need to amend this item.
That's what I made a motion to amend the motion to take the Rumsey County Chamber individually.
But is that not amending the budget? Wouldn't you? Again, this is appropriating,
If we're
this conditions for appropriating what's already been authorized.
It's just a
If-
courtesy to me because I had to sue the organization. If y'all don't want to do
I would
that,
ask
I'll
the
vote
vice
no
mayor
the
to
whole
call for
thing.
a second to his amendment.
Call for a second. Give him the privilege. Call for a second. Go ahead. We'll let it go through.
Second his amendment.
Okay, is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Back to the original item. Any other discussion?
Ready to vote.
We'll call the roll.
Head,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Trotter,
Aye.
Gregg, Hubbard,
Aye.
Sneed,
No.
passed 5-1.
Thank you.
Next item is 2.10, discuss and possibly take action on Resolution 18-26, a resolution of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the City of Springfield, Tennessee, establishing a uniform policy on the acceptance of gifts and other donations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Mayor, I'd like to amend the motion. I'd like to add in the way it's written, it does specify some in the first number 1, gifts and donations to be approved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. That last sentence, for the purpose of the resolution, it does specify some there, and it goes on to say cash, bonds, real estate, automobiles, and other items of personality. But I'd like to expand that purpose of the resolution and add alcohol, food, event tickets, clothing, lodging, and travel, because those are some of the more common things that I see if we're going to do this, to add that for clarity. I mean, I've been offered cash before, for things that went to district attorney and stuff, but bonds and real estate and all those, nobody's ever offered me that. But the alcohol, food, and event tickets, that clothing, tickets, travel, that's me. There's several issues about that.
Mr.
Okay, could I?
Go ahead.
Okay, and the city attorney can correct me if I'm wrong. This was presented as something that the whole board would be approving. We already have the ethics policy, which
Exactly.
covers accepting individual gifts, alcohol, food, tickets, and things like that. That's all covered under our ethics. This is just for items like what comes later on the agenda. The historic event coordinators are giving us or want to donate some lights and banners. It's something that the whole board would have to accept, and so that's, the rest of that's covered under the ethics policy.
Well, I just thought if it was specified, it would give more clarity to it. That was the purpose of the amendment.
The city manager stated what I was going to state, so this is a redundant practice that doesn't need to happen. Okay.
So, Alderman Steve, have you made an amendment?
I did make the amendment to add those words in that last sentence for the purpose of the resolution, and added those words for the specificity of it.
Okay, is there a second to this amendment? If not, it dies. Go back to the original motion. Any further discussion?
Ready to vote?
Let's call the roll.
Sneed.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Gregg. Head.
Yes.
Trotter.
All right.
Passed 6-0.
2.11, discuss and possibly take action on Resolution 18-27, a resolution accepting an irrevocable letter of credit in the amount of $53,000 guaranteeing street, drainage, and electrical improvements in Autumnwood Estates Phase 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think that's a beautiful subdivision. So
I do have
anything to get it going.
a question about that.
Yes, sir.
I think that as far as what is going to be built, it's pretty much been built out there. I know there's room for expansion. What's the timing on these, finishing these improvements for the property owners that are there now?
Well, this letter of credit covers those final improvements in that Phase 2. So hopefully when he finishes out the construction of Phase 2, he'll come in and finish out, well, there's no hopefully to it, we're bonded for that. We will finish out, he'll put in his final course, he will make sure his curbs and gutters and entrances into the street are done properly, and then as he moves into the next phase, he'll start cutting those lots. Well, those lots are already preliminarily cut out, but he'll start grading and moving forward with erosion control and things of that nature at that time.
What about the drainage between the homes? Has that been completed, or is that still to be completed?
It is probably in the process of being completed. It should be completed, if there is a ditch or a swell and the homes have already been sold, it should already have taken place.
Okay. There's one where it's not, I'll tell you about it.
Okay, we'll look into it, sir.
Mr. Brewer, can you tell the public exactly where it's located? A lot of folk might not know.
It's located off of Lakeside Drive and and to the west of Timber Lake. This subdivision will eventually, when it's complete, will tie into Timber Lake.
It's beautiful back there. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Call the roll.
Harris.
Yes.
Gregg. Sneed.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
Next item, 2.12, discuss and possibly take action on Resolution 18-28, a resolution declaring certain property surplus and authorizing the disposal of such property.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
Item 2.13, discuss and possibly take action on Resolution 18-29, a resolution to approve state requirements for the Joint Airport Board.
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I am so glad that this came to fruition where we can discuss this, because I got so tired of prior arguments, okay? So I'm glad we have it out and open and on the table.
Further discussion?
Yes, Mayor. Weren't we supposed to hear something from the city attorney about this?
I got a email.
Yesterday. Yeah.
You got yesterday? I didn't see that. May I ask the city attorney some questions?
You may.
You have the email?
I do.
Can I look at it?
You got a question? We can
I
discuss
just
one.
think it's a very thorough and could I say a good justifiable report. And now that, we're arguing about as if though these volunteers were trying to hide something now, it's in compliance with us, so I think they did a good report.
I objected to the terminology hide. I never said anything about hiding. I'm just exercising oversight as
I'm not gonna get into an argument.
I need.
Do you have questions?
I don't, but for discussion, I don't have any questions, but I would respectfully disagree with the opinion of the terminologies in the ordinance, so. That's all, Mayor.
The terminology was a prerogative that I have as an alderman to say. So
I'm talking about terminology.
Well, move on, sir.
Okay. Everybody clear on what we're voting on?
Yes, sir.
Approval of the budget?
Which was approved by the airport board and the county commission last night.
That, Mayor, I do have one other comment about that.
Yes, sir.
What the county does is not relevant to what our decision is. I hear that a lot, as if it has some bearing. I never hear the county commission say anything about what we do or what we plan on doing. The budget is for a total amount that exceeds the line item for what we appropriated for that project. There's terminology in the ordinance says we shall be equal partners. If we vote for a budget that has a dollar amount that exceeds our contribution, I feel that we will be legally, we could be, if they pursued it, legally liable for the other half to come up to that 50%. And I want you to remember that we were taking the task on an alcohol revenue that the state was did not distribute equally as the way it should have. And the city had to pay back, what was it, Jan, 4 or 5 years of.
It was about $52,000 a year.
$52,000 for several years. We had to make restitutions after it was discovered that we were not sharing that fund or that money correctly. So if they found out, they'll pursue it.
Say something, Mayor.
Yes.
I asked the city attorney some questions after the email yesterday, and I want to clarify my understanding of it with her. That we are only responsible as far as a 50-50 revenue as the operating budget of the airport. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Where does it say that? I'm sorry.
But as far as the building of the new, of what they're wanting to do there, that is a capital outlay project. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And we are not 50-50 necessarily on that. They as a board cannot go out and borrow money, but they can raise money for this project. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then as she explained it to me, and my question to her, if for some reason that this were to go over what their budget is, there possibly could be something there that the city and county would be responsible for, but the safeguards that are in place is, I think Mr. Brewer's working with it, Mr. Blackwood is working with it to make sure that it does not go over what they've said they're going to spend.
That's correct.
And we have contributed $500,000 to that as the city at this point.
Ready to vote, Mr. Chairman.
No further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to make another comment. I disagree with the answer the city attorney gave Mr. Harris that there's nothing in the ordinance that was passed in 2005 that specifies only operating budget. It says we shall be equal contributors, and the language does not specify just budget and not capital projects. So you're inventing words to put into it, and I'm not going to support that.
Okay. Anybody else? Call the roll.
Head,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Trotter,
Aye.
Gregg, Hubbard,
Yes.
Sneed,
No.
pass 5 to 1.
Move to administrative. Item 3.1, discuss and possibly take action on the adjustment of the retail electric rates of the Springfield Electric Department due to a wholesale fuel cost adjustment by the Tennessee Valley Authority.
So moved.
Second.
Robert, what's the news this month?
We've got a decrease of 2.6% this month.
That's good news.
Even with high usage of cooling. Thank you, sir.
We'll call the roll.
Trotter,
Aye.
Hubbard,
Aye.
Head,
Yes.
Sneed,
Aye.
Gregg, Harris,
Yes.
pass 6-0.
Item 3.2, discuss and possibly take action on the adjustment of monthly gas rates of the Springfield Gas Department.
So moved.
Second.
BGA is up slightly, 2.78%.
Any questions on that? Call the roll.
Sneed,
Aye.
Harris,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Gregg, Head,
Yes.
Trotter,
Aye.
pass 6-0.
Item 3.3, discuss and possibly take action to approve the parade application submitted by Historic Springfield event coordinators for the first Friday market to be held September 7th, 2018.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I love the marketing of the downtown area. Sometimes I just cruise around to see, so, and a lot of people out of, a few folk from my church in Nashville has come through, and they think we have a wonderful small town downtown, so.
They're right.
Just have a question in general.
Okay.
Is this the last month?
This was put on just in case it didn't get approved up under the legislative section. So this would not, from now on, it will not come to this board.
Okay. Call the roll.
Harris,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Trotter,
Aye.
Sneed,
Aye.
Gregg, Head,
Yes.
pass 6-0.
Item 3.4, discuss and possibly take action on a donation from the Historic Springfield event coordinators.
So moved.
Second. Discussion, city manager, comment?
Okay, as a matter of fact, the Historic Springfield event coordinators are here if you have any questions, but in the agenda packet, you have a PowerPoint presentation of their idea as far as banners for the downtown area, and they want to donate the small white lights for the trunks of the trees, which I think all of that just sounds wonderful. And so if you have any questions, they're asking for the city to purchase the brackets for the banners, but that's about $1,900 to $2,200. But everything else, they're donating all the lights and the banners. And like I said, the PowerPoint presentation where you can see some of the colors and samples of what they will look like, they did a very good job as far as presenting it. But they're here if you have any questions.
Mr. Mayor.
We have a sample if you'd like to see it, if that's necessary.
We didn't hear you, ma'am. You mind coming?
And this is Ace Timmermeyer.
I'm getting over the death, so.
You're over the, not to be presumptuous, but more so just to make sure that what we were going to order was going to be okay. We went ahead and had one printed just to kind of let you all see the size and how it would look. We used a local artist named Alicia Mader. This is the one that would go around the courthouse and around the actual downtown area. It looks great. We worked with Molly B. Creative as well. They helped get these printed and did the artwork for us. A lot of work went into this. And again, not to be presumptuous, but we did want to see what they look like. So at least you could have a visual for the size again. And there's 4 other designs that would go up the 5th Avenue, from Memorial to 5th Avenue. I have to pause for a picture.
Mind letting that public see.
Absolutely, be my pleasure. We put it then there are four other designs that are done, discover, shop, and eat. And so they highlight all of what our, there's one for the parks and screen and has a guy riding the bike. It's a lot of what our town has to offer, so we're excited to get these, if with your blessing, get these installed.
And you said it's all local.
This is all local, this is all sourced locally, every bit of it, so. And the money was raised locally, through the first Friday night markets and all the other events that for the Historic Springfield event coordinators have put on, so. Any questions?
I may sound loquacious, but my philosophy on governance is having private and public money sharing together in a partnership. And so I thank you guys for what you're doing, okay?
Well, I'm just one very small part.
But I thank you guys.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
Yes.
the committee.
It's our pleasure to serve. This is our town, so it's a pleasure to give back a little, so. Thank you.
Any further discussion? We'll call the roll.
Harris.
Yes.
Gregg. Sneed.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
Item 3.5, discuss and possibly take action on recommendations from the Traffic Committee to post no parking signs on the west side of Walnut Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
It's Mr. Ellis to come to the stand, please. I would assume by this being on public hearing that this was given to us last month, which is usually a formality to get it to the public hearing. I would have some questions, but I think also Mr. White has raised some questions that he probably deserves some answers to that I'd also like to have answers. My first question, who is the traffic committee? Is that just
It's set up in the
And
policies of the
administrative
city.
regulation.
Administrative regulations of the city.
okay?
Police chief, public works, the community development.
City engineer?
Well, yeah, but he's the same now. And one more, Robert, and the electric department.
Okay. So in the questions that he raised that I would probably want to know also, what is going to keep them from going to the other side of the street?
I can't help you. I don't know.
So what's the purpose then of doing this if they're just
Well,
going
it
to
was
park
the-
elsewhere other than this no parking zone?
If you may not have been on the board when we did the first section from 1st to 2nd. You may not have been here, Tim, then. But we did the same thing. We did away with parking on the west side, same as this. And this is bringing it forward, trying to get on up to 3rd. The only comments I've had on the whole issue is why we're not going to 4th Avenue with it. But I agree, I don't know how you prevent somebody from parking on the other side of the road, but at least you'd have one vehicle parked instead of two, like you got on Walnut, right between 3rd and 4th.
Okay, but then in answer to his other question then, do we have any type of ordinance or anything about cars that do not work sitting in driveways?
The police or codes have that.
Mr. Brewer?
We have a property maintenance code that can address that or may or may not address that. I'll have to ask Mr. Fields to look into that. If the car starts, we can't very well make them get rid of it, but if it doesn't start, there was a provision put into the municipal code a while back to classify certain things as junkyards. And so, it's a slippery slope, government telling people to get rid of property. I just don't know what the correct answer is at the present time, but it's something that we would have to get with Mr. Fields and look into and get back with you on.
If I understood him correctly, and I may have misunderstood what he said, there are properties there that do not have driveways at all?
There is a good possibility.
No, not on that side, I don't think there are. Don't all of those have driveways on that side?
Okay, I misunderstood what he said.
We did the same thing going from 1st to 2nd. We made sure all of those had driveways they could use.
And you bring up a very, good question, interesting. Throughout those Tree Street areas, there are certain blocks where people park on both sides of the street. And if there was an emergency after 9 p.m., it would be very difficult for the fire chief to get his fire truck down through there. Actually, he would get it down through there. It would just be damage the truck and damage 7, 8, 10 cars in the process. But, you know, it's something that as time goes on and, you know, families have more than 1 or 2 cars, it's tough to get 5 or 6 cars parked in some of these smaller driveways. But, you know, it is something that needs to be addressed for public safety as well.
Well, I'm not going to say that this is probably not something that may need to take place, I don't know, but I think he's raised some legitimate questions, and Mr. Ellis, you backed it up that you don't know what's going to keep them from going to the other side of the street, and I don't see where that's really solving the problem.
It's nothing unless you eliminate parking on both sides of the street.
That's what I was going
Yeah.
to ask him.
We've never, if you remember years ago, it's always very difficult getting down the lower part from Second to First. And this is just moving it forward. Once we moved it off the west side, and moved it to the right, we really hadn't had any problem. And the reason for that, those on the west side had driveways. There was 1 or 2 on the right did not, on the east side. But it has helped that area tremendously, and this is bringing it on up to Third. And there is a real problem from Third to Fourth as well, where cars are parked on
So
both
in this regulation of things then, if this is passed and they're not allowed to park on that side, then they would be allowed to park on the street in front of his house, on his side?
I would say so right now, the way it's read, yes.
Mayor, move to amend the motion to make no parking on both sides of the street between Third, Second, and Third.
What's that again, sir?
I move to amend the motion to add a no parking sign on both sides of the street between that block.
Alderman, I'll second. That's his board.
Would that alleviate anything?
We discussed that.
What's your
I mean,
philosophy behind that? Tell me.
Well, the traffic committee, I asked Mr. Ellis about that too. I mean, we're trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. People try to do the right thing. Don't want to just inundate, saturate the area with signs, because it is a cost to it, and thought, I mean, you have to purchase these things. It's in the traffic budget, but thought we'd do the right thing, try to do it, see if it works. We could always come back if that's what, I mean, if that's what they started doing, then obviously we'd come back. But if you want to go ahead and buy some more signs, well, that's my motion to amend. It's got a second.
Okay. Any further discussion on the amendment?
Well, the only question I would have about that motion is if they've got parking spaces on both sides, driveways. Does everybody have driveways down there?
It does. It does. We're just trying to keep it on that hillside right now. You're talking about from Third to Fourth. That's it's a different situation. They could be looked at different. Those people haven't been notified. Maybe when they see what happens down here, maybe if it looks like there's a situation, they'll start.
Do we need to table this for a month since we sent the notifications out to everyone in that block, both sides, but we stated we was only going to do the west side? So there might be.
I was going to ask for a deferment before he did the
There's
amendment.
only
just
like 2
some
people
more.
that live on that side. It's really their backyards, except for his.
I was going to suggest that if you could post it on no parking on the west side, then they start parking on the east side, have the traffic committee bring it back. And then,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm familiar with the street. I don't think it's going to make any difference. He's the only one on the other side that really is concerned about it. It's kind of a backyard to everybody else.
will of the committee.
May I ask Mr. White if
Yes.
if there was no parking on either side, would that alleviate your concerns, or?
Mayor, can we get Mr. White to come back to the podium to see what he thinks about the amendment?
Mr. White, could you come back to the podium and answer a question for us?
Mr. White, you and I you know, we live in this area and we're familiar with it. You raised a good question. We thought people would do the right thing, just put it on one side because there's a cost to the signs. The boards need some clarification about the geography and the layout of the other side of the street. You're the only one that's really on the other side that has a driveway. You're at the top of the hill. The below you going down the hill, that's really everybody's backyard. Is that correct?
There's not any houses below the rental house we've got on the east side.
That's right.
Till you get down to first, to Second Avenue, the one there, and he has to come in off of that, Second Avenue.
Right. There used to be some driveways that were used
Now, the
years ago,
biggest-
but not anymore.
The biggest problem with all of this is the safety hazard. Streets are made for traffic, not for parking. And that's the worst place in the world they can park, out on the crest of that hill. I'm surprised somebody hasn't been killed yet. And I want to bring up one other thing while I'm up here. On Walnut Street, there's 20 properties on the west side. There's 2 sidewalks on the west side, 2 houses have sidewalks. On the east side, there's 17 pieces of property and 2 vacant lots. There's 4 houses with sidewalks. And there's a lot of people walk on Walnut Street. And it's a problem. And it's used for a racetrack, really, when you get right down to it. They really like to get to the bottom of that hill with these loud mufflers and see how fast they can get to Third Avenue.
Right. I think with the absence of any parking on both sides of the road right now, if someone were to try to come out of their driveway below the crest of the hill, people in the neighborhood, the community, when they start remembering that, hey, there's no parking there anymore, I'm going to start going a little faster right here instead of coming up at a little ease. That's going to cause the next situation that the people are going to get acclimated that there's no cars there and they don't have to ease down anymore. If somebody tries to come out of their driveway, that's the next situation that we haven't seen before.
Right.
Right. Well, the people have been rolling through that my whole life. It's just the way it is. I mean, but everybody's acclimated that you need to approach that with caution. But when you start putting no parking sign, there's nothing on that street. They may start going faster because it's such a incline. Cars coming out of those homes that used to park on the street now parking their drive. They're going to have to come out of their driveways cautiously.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. White. Okay, we got an amendment on the floor? Okay. We have an amendment to change it to no parking on both sides of the street. So any further discussion about that? If not, we'll call the roll for the amendment.
Head.
I'm sorry.
If this passes, don't it need to have a time period for Mr. Ellis to notify these people that this is going to take place, like he did for the one side of the street?
Yes. I think so, yes.
This everybody's
What kind of
backyard.
time frame would you think?
Probably 30 days at least. It's bad, 30 to 60 days.
Add that to your motion, sir.
Add that to his motion.
Okay. And the second?
I second it along with it.
All right, anything further?
So is it 30, 60?
There's not a problem because nobody has a driveway that's backyards, but we'll delay the effect of the sign placement 30 days.
Okay, we'll call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Harris.
This is on the amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
Trotter.
Yes.
Gregg.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Sneed.
Yes.
Passed 6-0.
Okay, now we'll go back to the main motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'm going to make an amendment, make a motion that we defer this.
Okay.
We can get some more information, and I failed to look at this area when this was on the agenda. I would like to see the area that he's talking about.
We can take a recess and Google it. You can Google a map.
No, sir, I
Go
don't
right
want
down the
recess and
street.
Google it. I'm just making a motion to defer.
Okay, motion to defer.
Second.
Have a second. All right, we'll vote on the motion to defer.
Trotter.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
No.
Gregg.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Passed 5-1.
Okay. Item 3.6, discuss and possibly take action on amendment number 1 to the Queen Anne Basin Pumping Design Contract.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion, we'll call the vote.
Sneed.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
3.7, discuss and possibly take action to approve easements for the Logan Todd County Regional Water Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? We'll call the roll.
Harris.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Gregg.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 6-0.
3.8, discuss and possibly take action to approve Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc. to conduct a water hydraulic model update and analysis.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Ask Mr. Beers. Exactly, what would this involve? It's just approving them to do it?
Yes, that's all this is, for them to be hired to do the study, gonna update the computer model, look at all our alternatives.
The total
Pardon?
cost of that is?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
The contract in the agenda is 50,000.
Yes. Mhm.
And back, if you remember, excuse me, when the board had the study session on the water system, that was one of the things that the board approved, that before we do anything else as far as expanding, that we would have the hydraulic analysis study done.
This money's in the budget.
It's coming out of operating.
Okay.
Anything else? We'll call the roll.
Harris.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
3.9, discuss and possibly take action on task order number 19 for the AOC Sewer Collection Systems Project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Harris.
Yes.
Trotter.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Gregg.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
3.10, monthly report on the progress of the AOC Sewer Collection System contract from Water Wastewater Utility Director Terry Beers.
Yes, I actually have some really good news. We've been appropriated $7.5 million to do the Phase 5. That actually just came Monday, the letter there to do that. We also got to go ahead to award the contracts, and that was kind of something that was a little concerned because we'd already bid those, and the SRF said, well, you can go ahead and award those. We didn't want the time to run out and have to rebid those. Actually, two good pieces of action that took place.
Explain just a little bit about the 7.5. Is that?
7.5 is going to cover where we did the Phase 5, where we'll have the interceptors. I think our bid came in 7.2, but they appropriated 7.5 for us to do the work. So we can go ahead with that. We got a letter from SRF approving that.
This is the state revolving fund, the low interest that we had received the money from before, and then we had to give some of it back, and so now we have to go back and get the money again.
But it is money we're borrowing.
Yes, at a low
Yes,
interest
low
rate.
interest.
Anything else?
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent, 5 items.
Move to approve the total consent package.
Second.
Any objection? And we'll call the roll.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
The specifications that are, I'm worried that there was only one bid on this. Can the electric department explain why there's only one bid out of 5 that were requested for a $250,000 truck?
We solicited this vehicle to, I believe, five different companies. Really, to be honest, all we've been getting bids on lately is Altec units. We used to have more T-Rex Telelect equipment. They've kind of stepped back in this area, and Altec has kind of just taken over. So, been hard to get anybody else to bid on bucket trucks or digger derricks lately. And Altec is, they're based in Birmingham. They have one local distributor, and they have other distributors, one in Indiana, another in Birmingham, Global Rental, and one more, but distributors don't like to cross territories, and the bid winds up a lot of times going to the local closest distributor. That's what happened. But it is under budget, well under budget, and they meet all specifications.
Well, that's what I was getting to. I've said something before about these one bid projects that you're making the specifications so specified that it's purposely done that the others would not make that specification. Is that?
No, that's not correct.
That's not correct.
We always bid to meet or exceed the specifications, and if there are any exceptions to the specifications, they can be listed by item. That's why we break out each item in the specs separately, and you can bid yes or no. They do not comply, but we will consider all bids that are received.
Okay.
Mr. Gardner,
Yes, sir.
and you feel that this will do the job that you need done in your department?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One other question. Did we just rent one of these trucks recently?
We just rent a 60-foot bucket truck, aerial bucket truck, because we don't have anything that can work transmission lines that we're doing right now. We're doing a lot of transmission work.
Okay. Any other questions on that? If not, we'll call the roll for the entire consent agenda.
Trotter.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Gregg. Harris.
Yes.
Pass 6-0.
Okay. See you then.
Okay, I don't have much, but don't forget the last First Friday concert for the summer will be September 7th on the square, and it's Howard Decker and the Cosmic Cowboys. I think they're country, but anyway, I've heard they're very good, so don't forget, put that on your calendar for September 7th. But the first Friday night markets will continue. Then next year is the bicentennial for the city of Springfield. And so people are starting to talk, and we probably need to pursue getting some activities planned, a celebration, maybe some banners, just some ways to market this. This is a big event, and I know there are a lot of groups and volunteers that would just love to be very helpful with this. So we want to start thinking about that. So 200 years next year. And then I sent you all a memo, but the public may not know that we received a $500,000 grant for the parks at Martin Luther King Jr. Park, and we're just so excited about getting this money. We had $1.3 million in the budget, but we can knock that down by $500,000. And that's 2 grants that we've received notice of this month. So that's over $1 million. And I'm just really proud of our staff for doing that. So that's the good news.
City Manager, I need to ask you something. I've been bombarded by a few things. What is the status on the Batson Parkway?
Well, it's under, I guess they're still doing preliminary engineering. And
Alluded to before, we're still doing the depot, which is environmental. With the federal monies that we have, you make one step at a time. You can't do any faster than what they are. The other day, they were catching back stuff. That's but the part they are catching fast.
So our holdup now is the environmental part.
It's the environmental, then it goes into design, then it goes into right of way, which we already have. You can't go any faster than what the state, the feds allow you to. And you have to approve each section.
And I agree, I just want to, I've been asked, and so the public want to know, so thank you
They
for,
call it the NEPA, that's why I asked you.
okay,
Environmental.
okay.
But we're moving as quickly
Now the
as we
public- Now the
can.
public knows I'm okay, get off my back.
Now, who can
Step in.
step in and adjourn?
I asked for a recess.
Okay.
Recess to executive session.
Okay, do you have to get a motion in a second?
Is there a motion for a recess?
Yes, to executive session.
I think you need a second for that. Do you need a second for that?
Second.
Okay. Recess, and so we'll ask everyone to
leave
to leave the room, please. Five times.
Everyone's an Adam Evans.
It's just-
Remain.
Yeah.